Every business studies paper has a section C, and in section C, it is always an essay question. Your essay questions count out of 40 marks, and as you get towards the end of the year, you will always have a choice, and normally it's 50%. So if there are only 2 questions, you get to choose 1. If there are 4 questions, you get to choose 2. So how do we go about writing this essay question? Firstly, we look at the layout. You have to write the word introduction. If the word introduction is not written, you will not get any marks for that. So the word introduction needs to be there, as well as the word conclusion. However, merely writing those 2 words doesn't guarantee you the marks. You also need to contextualize the question, and that's for 2 sentences, 1 mark each. You cannot repeat the question. So for example, you can't say, in my essay, I will be telling you about the 8 business functions. Okay, that's not good enough. Contextualizing the question means that you would write something like this. Every business needs the 8 business functions in order to operate efficiently. In your conclusion, you are merely going to summarize your main facts in 1 sentence, and that gives you another 2 marks. So if we look at this whole thing, the L and the L stand for layout, and those give you 2 marks. The 2 sentences in your introduction give you 2 marks for facts, plus the 1 sentence in the conclusion gives you another 2 marks. So this first step can give you up to 6 marks in total. We then move on to analysis and interpretation. Are you interpreting the question correctly? Have you broken it down and answered every part of it? And how do we look and see if you've done that? Well, it's in your body. It's in the main part of your essay. You have to use subheadings and normal headings. And these you normally get from the question. So before you start writing your essay, plan it so that you know what your headings and subheadings are. Ultimately, an essay will always require you to do something, either to analyze, to evaluate, to impact, or to recommend something, or solve a problem, or give practical solutions. So there must be a heading with one of these words there related to the question that you've been given. When you are analyzing, evaluating, or looking at the impact of something, you must always show the positive side and the negative side, or alternatively, you can do the advantages and disadvantages. Thirdly, we have what we call synthesis. This is, are you putting together facts that are relevant to the question that's been asked, or are you waffling on and going off on a tangent? The way that this is marked is with a negative S in the margin. So if the question is on marketing, and you just start talking about the financial budgets and you go off on a tangent about capital, working capital, operating capital, we'll put a big minus S there. If you do this twice within the essay, you get 0 marks for this question. If everything that you have written is relevant to the question, then you will get your full 2 marks. Fourthly, or lastly, we have what we call originality. This means, have you given examples of your own? Have you given current trends and developments that are happening? You look at recent information. So we've just had our national budget speech. So if it was about the economic climate and how things are going, you could say, in our 2017 national budget, we have just been informed that the highest amount that one would have to pay as income tax is 45%. However, to ensure that the originality stands out and that the marker is able to see it clearly, the word example must be written out. The next thing you need to be aware of is that you cannot use 2 examples in the same paragraph. They have to be on totally different topics and in different paragraphs. And we're looking for a minimum of 2 examples. And that gives you your 2 marks. So let's recap. The layout or the structure gives you 2 marks. That's writing introduction and conclusion with your headings. Your application and interpretation is saying, have I broken the question down correctly? Have I got the relevant headings and subheadings? Then we look at synthesis. Is what you have written relevant to the question? And then originality is, have you given examples? So that gives me a total of 8 marks. If you look at the first word of each of these, it's let me go back. L-A-S-O. So we abbreviate it with the word lasso. So at the end of every essay, you will see lasso and you will see ticks and marks next to that. So the other 32 marks, where do they come from? It's basically your content, it's the theory, it's your facts. You can get up to a maximum of 32 marks, remembering that 2 come from the introduction and 2 come from the conclusion. So in fact, you're looking for 28 facts. When you write the content in your body, in your headings and subheadings, you have to use bullets for every new sentence. It makes it easier to read, and that's the format that is preferred in business studies. So lastly, you have 8 marks for your lasso, you have 32 marks for your content, and that gives you a total of 40 marks. I always say to my kids, if you think writing 1 page is going to be enough, you are wrong. You need to write between 3 and 4 pages to ensure that you get the maximum content in and to give you the highest mark possible.